Welcome. In this video I will show you Collaborate's user interface and give you an overview of its many functions. I'm going to run through this quickly, so it might help you to review the video throughout this workshop. Use it as a reference tool. In later videos, I'll explain many of these functions in more detail. You will also get a chance to practice using these tools throughout this workshop. Here's a basic description of the tools a moderator sees when entering a Collaborate session. There are three panels to the left of the screen: the audio and video panel, the participants panel, and the chat panel. We'll go through each of these in a minute. To the right is the content area. The content area is where you share information with your students, beginning with the interactive whiteboard. By default, the whiteboard is displayed so that you and your participants can add items to it, like PowerPoints, PDF documents, and pictures. I will demonstrate loading content later. Application sharing allows you to share your desktop and applications that run on your computer with your students. And Web Tour takes your students to locations on the web through a web browser. Now let's go back to the audio and video panel and look at these items within. First, the microphone icon allows you to select which installed microphone you'll be using. The options menu to the right is where you and your students can set up your audio and video devices. I strongly recommend that you go through the audio setup wizard and have your students do the same. I have a separate video for you and your students that will help you make these selections. The talk button is where you can turn on and off your microphone. I suggest you turn off your microphone when you're not using it and tell your students to do the same. The video panel is where you can turn on and off your video. If video is not necessary, I suggest you turn this off. It saves bandwidth. Likewise, you can shut and open the audio and video panel with this button. The participants panel is where you'll find you, the moderator, other moderators below you, and then participants. Here you have controls, and we'll go through these controls in more detail, but just as an overview. You have this set of feedback controls. Here you have emoticons. Here you can tell your participants you've stepped away from a session. You can raise your hand or ask your students to raise their hand if you ask a question. And here's a simple poll. You can ask your students to a yes or no question, and they'll respond, and their response will be known to the entire session. Here you can turn the audio permissions off for any of the students. Likewise, video permissions, chat permissions, the chat window being down here. You can control whether your students can chat in a session. You can also control drawing on the interactive whiteboard between you and your students. Application sharing, ability to let students use an application on your computer. You can control that function here. And web sharing, you can allow other students to take a web tour, take you to websites on their computer. Moving down to the chat window, you have a couple of tabs here. One, Room. Here you can leave a chat message to all your students. And here you can leave a message to just the other moderators. This was just a brief overview of Collaborate's tools and functions. Hopefully this will get you started and give you information about how your participants access the various tools and functions. For a more detailed description, I posted a link to a guide below. Thank you.